Who's joining us for our first virtual awards banquet. This is the wrestling breakout session. Coach Mike Self, and so I want to start off by giving a few thank yous. Thank our administration for their support. Dr. Disney, Chrissy Owens, and Wes Upton, always behind us. Thanks to Mike Mossbrucker and Matt Bosworth for all that they do to help wrestling. We really appreciate all that. And of course, thanks to the Across the Street gang, Randy and Jake and Ollie, and for all their attendance at our functions and their support. And we appreciate all that. So I definitely want to send out a thanks to them. I also want to thank my assistant coaches. I'm going to start out with thanking my middle school head coach, Jimmy Bowles, and his staff. They do a fine job of getting our middle school's wrestlers ready for our high school team. And I also want to send a shout out and thanks to Jason Hutchinson. He spent a lot of hours with his staff, with our elementary team, with about 80 elementary wrestlers this year, getting them prepared for middle school and for Jimmy. So I definitely want to thank all of those. And then, of course, I want to thank my varsity assistant coaches, Ethan Flater, who manages and takes care of all of our JV stuff and allowed us to do some really cool things this year with our JV. We actually had our JV compete in a varsity tournament all the way in North Knox, and he and Coach Turner did a nice job taking those kids there. And our JV schedule is very full. When I talk to coaches across the state, our JV schedule is probably one of the best JV schedules that I've heard of. So I really appreciate all the work that Ethan has done in the past 3 years, helping us and helping our JV guys get ready for when it's their turn to be on varsity. I definitely want to thank Josh Turner. Josh has been with us for 2 years. Does a phenomenal job. He's the workhorse in the room that's always wrestling live with the kids and pushing them, and does a lot of things that really make our kids better. He's very invested in these kids, not just in wrestling, but seeing them be good people as well. So appreciate everything Josh has done as well. And then Coach Freeman is our varsity assistant that travels and does all the varsity stuff with me. He and I rack our brains and come up with game plans and practice plans and get ready for the week and get the kids prepared as best we can. So without those 3 assistant coaches, a lot of the success we've had would not happen. And so I really appreciate everything that they do to help us. I also have to thank Joe and Beth Leibarger, who spend numerous hours helping our wrestling program in all kinds of capacities, from running tournaments to setting up tournaments to mopping mats to taping mats to organizing closets and washing laundry. It's just the things that they do is unbelievable. On a side note, with the Leibargers, they won a very prestigious volunteer award this year with the Indiana State Wrestling Association called the John Hurl Memorial Award. It's a very prestigious award, and it recognized not only their work with Mooresville Wrestling, but their work throughout the state, and it gave our program a real boost in status on the state level. So I really appreciate all the things that the Leibargers do. Our success off the mat with our wrestlers wouldn't take place without our parents. Running 5 tournaments this year, including a elementary tournament, the hospitality rooms, the setup, setting up, after a boys basketball game at 10 o'clock at night and having the parents come back in, just phenomenal. Whenever I ask parents, hey, can you help me with the concession stand, I always get a great response. And so I can't say enough about our parents and how wonderful they are and how great it is to have such a support system. So absolutely send a shout out to all our parents. Our senior parents, especially Jeanette Condon, we're really going to miss her leadership when it comes to the hospitality room. So I really hope some of our underclass parents can get with her and understand what all it takes to organize that and get it going for our holiday classic, for our sectionals, for our regionals, and other events that we host. To give a summary of our season, we had a great season. We had 14 wins and 2 losses. We had 2 state qualifiers with one placing 6th in the state. We had 5 semi-state qualifiers. We finished 5th at our regional, and everybody knows that the Mooresville Regional is the toughest regional in the state. We beat Martinsville and Monrovia, which is always a great thing to accomplish. So all in all, I would say we had a really successful season. A lot of it was due to our senior leaderships and the things that our seniors did in the off season to make themselves prepared. We're certainly going to miss our seniors. And one of the biggest highlights for me was the win that we had on senior night against Monrovia, when we were kind of down on our luck a little bit with some injuries and some other things that were happening. And our seniors pulled through with some great leadership, and for them to go out on a high note on that senior night was certainly one of the biggest highlights for me during the regular season. So, JV wise, we had a great JV season. We almost had a full JV roster, which was our goal at the beginning of the season, but we were just a couple weight classes short. And our JV guys did a phenomenal job of coming around, especially when their season was over. They stuck it out all the way through the end of February through the state finals, and I'm certainly proud of those guys and really look forward to coaching them the next 2 or 3 years as they mature and develop. So that's kind of the summary of our season. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ethan, Coach Flater, and he is going to read our members who earned a JV letter this year.
Thanks, Coach Mike. It was my pleasure to have a lot of time to spend with the JV this year. As everyone knows, like, if you don't have a good JV, you're not going to have a good varsity for the future. I was really happy with all of our JV wrestlers. Everyone did a very good job. And again, the whole part of it gets kind of tedious, but the whole point of JV, especially in wrestling, is essentially all about building yourself up to be prepared to wrestle varsity and just gain as much experience as possible. So for the JV awards this year, we have Trevin Babb, Silas Bullock, Justice Comer, Devin Davis, Davis Hall, Aaron McClure, Alex Moore, Aiden O'Brien, Austin Pugh, Dakota Sanders, Wyatt Watson, and Brandon Wilson. And then we also have our managers, which just help out an awful lot and just make our lives a little bit thankless when they take care of all those things. That's Jordan Comer, Allison Bittram, and Kylie Reitnauer. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Coach Mike Sell for the varsity letters.
Thank you, Ethan. We had several varsity guys. They were Damian Albrecht, Jake Alexa, Corbin Baker, Luke Bullock, Nate Burns, Reese Condon, Kenny Curry, Robbie Gentry, Brecken Green, Sam Henderson, Josh Holt, Carter Howard, Dylan Kennard, Xander Lowry, Isaiah Pugh, Devin Scott, Michael Stoddard. And then we also had some varsity managers, and they were Delaney Camden, Sienna Cave, and Abby Harbor. We appreciate all of those things that those managers did to help us. And those varsity guys all earned their varsity letter this year in wrestling. We also have tonight, we have some specialty awards to give out. But before I do that, I do want to recognize that we had 6 athletes as members of the first or the honorable mention all academic state. We had 2 juniors that made the junior academic first team, and they were Brecken Green and Michael Stoddard. And then we had 4 seniors, 2 which made the first team academic all-state. They were Sam Henderson and Xander Lowry. And then we had 2 that made the honorable mention academic all-state, and they were Robbie Gentry and Reese Condon. And we certainly want to celebrate and recognize our academic athletes as well. Several of our students were very, very close. It takes a 3.25 GPA to make academic honorable mention, and it takes a 3.7 GPA to make academic all first state. So that's an incredible accomplishment. Several of those guys are multiple athletes. They're in multiple sports. So obviously they know how to manage their time and do exactly what we expect of our athletes here at Mooresville. So we're certainly proud of those 6 guys. At this time, our first specialty award is going to be presented by Ethan, and it's going to be recognize 2 of our athletes who were all conference wrestlers on the JV level.
Thanks, Coach Mike Sell. The 2 JV Mid-State Conference champions are Dakota Sanders and Brandon Wilson. Now, Dakota won it in 2019, and Brandon won it this year. Both are extremely talented wrestlers that we're all really looking forward to seeing make big impacts on the varsity level. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Coach Freeman for another specialty award.
So the next specialty award we have is the Most Takedowns Award. I'm going to kind of wrote some notes here. So this award, especially in light of the accomplishments we've had as a team in this past year, in the past few years, as far as really turning on our offense. I mean, before Coach Mike Sell and I first got here, we were not an aggressive team, and we've really changed that around the last couple of years. And so this award representing a wrestler's dominance on their feet, I feel like is significant. And this awardee, I think the recipe for their success was the small improvements. So coming in every day and really wanting to adjust their offense and making the necessary changes to be successful. And also, staying after practice every day and making the adjustments that were really needed. I think everybody would agree that it really paid off this year. And so the award for most takedowns goes to Devin Scott. So congrats, Devin. And so with that, I will turn it over to Coach Turner.
Thanks, Coach Freeman. I was given the next specialty award of most near falls, and as Coach Freeman said, it's all about dominance on top. Putting a guy in that situation to put him on his back and score those points for your team. And this wrestler really worked at it and really put some guys in some compromising positions to get those points for the team. And so for most near falls, that goes to junior Josh Holt, who did really well at that, really excelled, really improved it over last year. And with that, for the next award, for the 100% award, I turn it back over to Coach Freeman.
So the 100% award, I feel like for a coaching staff, this is pretty easy for us this year. It goes to an individual who really has just one of those work ethics that you don't really see too much in the sport other than with just top-end athletes. I mean, he comes in every single day looking to work hard, and he just doesn't quit. And even after practice, he doesn't quit. He'll just keep going and keep fighting. So the 100% award goes to Nate Burns. Congrats, Nate. And so with that, I will turn it back over to Mike Sell.
Thanks, Coach Freeman. Those guys are certainly deserving of all those awards. Certainly proud of Devin, Josh, and Nate, and they are fun to coach, fun to be around, and I'm going to miss Devin next year, and I'm looking forward to coaching Josh and Nate in the future. The next award that I'm going to give out is a new award I've never given out before. I got this idea at a coaches clinic that I was at last spring. Gary Mayab, who's the director of the USA Greco-Roman style of wrestling for our country. When he was a high school coach, he gave out this award because it was really an award to try to change our mindset. The idea that we want to be one of the best. We're not worried about who we're wrestling. We want to try to get to be the best. Sometimes you have to beat people who you're not supposed to beat. And so that's where we came up with the idea of this award. It's the first time I've given one out. When I introduced it to the kids, I told them it could be anybody. It didn't have to be a varsity guy. It didn't have to be in a varsity meet. It could be anywhere that we thought, somebody that was maybe the true underdog stepped up and had a big win. The young man that gets this award shows up every day to work hard. I have him in class as well, and he's a great performer in the academic arena. He's only a sophomore, and he had a fantastic JV season. He had, at one point in time, he was on a 10-match win streak for our JV, and always challenging the varsity guys in the room, in with the best groups, getting after it. Sometimes guys didn't really enjoy wrestling him, and that's because he always goes hard, which is okay. And it paid off. So heading into senior night, we had some openings in our lineup. We had some guys that were out with injuries and illnesses that put us behind the 8 ball. I readjusted our lineup. Moose shuffled some guys around and found a spot for this kid to go in. And he jumped in and beat a kid with 25 wins on the varsity level in his first varsity match for the season, which was very impressive. This year's Upset of the Year award goes to sophomore Alex Moore. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Coach Turner for our next award.
Thanks, Coach Mike. So our next award we got listed up here is the Most Improved Wrestler. And before I name this particular wrestler, it's pretty clear that as a coaching staff, it was pretty rough for this wrestler the last season. He was in a very tough weight class, and as a freshman, it's just hard to get in there and battle with guys who are just naturally bigger, naturally stronger. But he just kept coming. Rather than turning tail and leaving, he just kept coming and kept coming. And when he came in this year, he came in with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, came in ready to go, came in ready to do those things. And he really, really turned the corner and really started coming up strong. And we really look forward to what he's going to do next year. And the Most Improved Wrestler goes to Damian Albrecht. So congrats to him. And now I turn it over to Coach Freeman for the next award.
All right, for our next award, it's the Mental Attitude Award. And this award is pretty special to me because, I mean, a lot of what I tell a lot of you guys is your mental attitude is pretty much 80 to 90% of the sport. I mean, you can wrestle against better opponents who could be stronger, faster, even more intelligent than you are. But if you just don't quit and you have that belief that you can beat them, I mean, there's always a good chance that can happen. And you can see a lot of upsets that we got from this year from changing that around and really having that attitude on the team. So this individual received this particular award because they were very flexible and where we could put them in the lineup, and they really just sucked it up, especially when it comes to weight cutting, which everyone knows that's one of the worst parts of the sport, and it just really takes it out of you to have to do that. But they really sucked it up this year, did what was needed for the team, and were very successful in doing so. So the mental attitude for this year goes to Isaiah Pugh. So congrats, Isaiah. And with that, I turn it back over to Coach Turner and Coach Mike Sell.
Thanks, Coach Freeman. I get a special opportunity to talk about a wrestler that I had the opportunity to come in and to watch grow and to watch learn and to really push himself. And that wrestler is Reese Condon. Reese Condon last year, semi-state qualifier, got beat first round, but at the end of the year, he said, I want to make some improvements. I'm coming back. He said, I'm coming strong. And it really showed in the room. He came in with a bone to pick, ready to go, and was ready to wrestle some pretty tough kids. He really showed it, I believe, that down at Jeffersonville, he turned the corner and was competing with kids. Holiday Classic, he was competing with some of the top kids in the state, and really showed that he wasn't scared to wrestle anybody. And when it came time for tournament time, he stepped up and he said, I'm going. He said, this is what I'm going to do. In fact, semi-state, right before his first round match at semi-state, he turned and he looked me square in the face and he said, I'm going to state. Let's do this. Let's go. And sure enough, he walked out there semi-state and just really took it to the first kid. Got the fall in the first round, came back for the next round and just wrestled smart, wrestled his style, and met his goal. His goal was, he said, I just want to go to state. And that's exactly what he did. So congrats to Reese Condon on his ability to overcome and to meet his goal of going on state. And this time I turn it over to Coach Mike Sell for his remarks that he had.
Thanks, Coach Turner. To add on to what you talked about with Reese, a couple years ago, Reese was our most improved wrestler, just like Damien is this year. And so I think Reese is a real tribute to the idea of dedicating yourself and working hard and doing those things that you're supposed to do, and then being prepared for when the opportunity presents itself for you to wrestle and perform at your best. So words can't express how sincerely proud I am of Reese Condon and his accomplishment of making it to the state finals. Obviously, since we're on the video conference, I don't have the plaque, but I have a really cool plaque to present him when we get back together. And then once we can get back together, we'll also have a little ceremony where we'll get in the room and we'll put up the pictures of Reese and Robbie in the room together to try to make up for this lost time that we've had in the spring for these seniors. We'll try to do something that's special for those two guys, especially, but for all the seniors, maybe try to get back together. But again, I'm just so proud of Reese. After his qualifying match, just to see his smile, I have a picture of me and him and Coach Turner together, just so genuine. He's just so excited and so on top of the world, so to speak. And certainly I think our underclassmen can look at that and say, hey, Reese did it by doing everything the right way and by being prepared and wrestling his best when it mattered. And certainly I think he should be an inspiration to some of these younger guys that we have in our program. The last award that we're going to give out, and again, I don't have the plaque here with me, but it's a really awesome award. It's called the Career Achievement Award. We don't always give those out, but we give them out when we have a graduating senior who has done some remarkable things in their career. And the Career Achievement Award this year is going to go to Robbie Gentry, who Robbie is a two-time varsity wrestler. So he was a JV wrestler as a freshman and a sophomore. His sophomore year, he was undefeated as a JV wrestler. He's a two-time sectional champion. He's a two-time semi-state qualifier. He's a mid-state conference champion, a Jeffersonville Holiday Classic champion, a two-time ISWA state champion. He's a two-time member of Indiana's national team, both the individual team and the duals team, the Indiana junior duals team. And he's a IHSA state qualifier and an IHSA state place winner, securing a sixth place finish this past season. You get close to a lot of your kids when in wrestling. It's unlike some other sports, and certainly this kid has won a special place in my heart, just like all our kids have. But his career, not only in wrestling but in other things, he super competitive, fun to be around, a little argumentative at times, but everybody loves to be around Robbie. And we're certainly going to miss him, but we know that he'll be back to help with our program someday. So the career achievement goes to Robbie Gentry. And at this time, I'm just going to have a few closing remarks. Normally, this is the time where I talk about going to summer camp and wrestling freestyle and wrestling Greco-Roman, but the spring's been very weird this year. I've not been to one freestyle tournament or one Greco-Roman tournament. Summer camp is on a hold right now. Those of you parents who gave me a deposit, nothing's been done with your deposit yet. You'll get it back if the camp doesn't materialize. If the camp does materialize, then we're in good shape and we can move forward. I won't know until the end of May what's going on with that. And as soon as I know, I will send out the information on that. As far as spring wrestling and summer wrestling, USA Wrestling has put all wrestling events on hold until May the 15th, and then they're going to make a decision after that what they're going to do. So I know we have several kids that are interested in going to Fargo. As of right now, Fargo is on, but who knows what's going to happen between now and July, and how USA Wrestling is going to decide how we get qualifiers for that, and who knows. But as soon as I have any information about that stuff, I will send it out, and I will contact those of you that I know are interested, and I'll send it out via email and on Facebook so that we can all make sure that we know what's going on. The only saving grace I have in this downtime that we've had in the spring, because I think spring is the pinnacle of time for us to make our most improvement, is that we're on a level playing field. Everybody is down. So it's not just our guys that are not getting out and getting the mat time. Nobody's getting any mat time. So at least that's the one thing we can think about as we move forward, that, Brownsburg's not getting any extra mat time. Avon's not getting any extra mat time. Nobody is. So that's the one saving grace that we can think about as we are stuck in this terrible time that we're in right now as far as our country's medical emergency. So with that being said, I'm going to just close this session down, and we'll be in touch as soon as we know when we can do things. I ask that the boys, stay active as best as they can. Winning the Super Bowls on your PlayStation, although I've won 4 of them now, is not really activity to get in shape. So hopefully they can find some other things to do. But stay safe. Enjoy this time with your family, and make the most of it. And when we can get back together, we will, and we'll make a special thing for our seniors as best we can when we can all get back together. So I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you to my assistant coaches for spending some time with us this afternoon. Thanks to Matt and Jake Wallman for videotaping this and setting this all up. And I appreciate everything that you guys have done to help us. And with that, we'll close this out. Thank you.